our love has grown, 'cause it grows stronger.
It started with a nervous glance, a quiet voice, and an awkward shuffle across the America's Got Talent stage. To most viewers, she looked like just another timid teenager auditioning for a dream. But seconds later, Courtney Hadwin exploded into a musical force that shook the internet and stunned millions around the world. Her electrifying voice, reminiscent of the greats like Janis Joplin and James Brown, erupted from her small frame with such raw energy that judges were left speechless and audiences instantly captivated. But the story didn't end with applause. Behind the viral clips and standing ovations, behind the headlines and contracts, was a deeper journey, one marked by immense pressure, harsh criticism, and the quiet strength of a young girl navigating sudden fame. While Courtney's rise felt like a fairy tale on the surface, the reality was far more complicated and far more human. Today, we trace the astonishing story of how a soft-spoken girl from a quiet English town became one of the most unforgettable talents ever seen on AGT. A story of courage, setbacks, reinvention, and the emotional cost of becoming famous before you even finish school. Long before the flashing lights and roaring applause, Courtney Hadwin's story began in the calm, unassuming town of Hartlepool in County Durham, England. Born on July 6, 2004, Courtney's early life was far from the chaos of show business. Her world was filled instead with winding village roads, quiet afternoons, and the comforting rhythm of everyday life in a close-knit community. From the very beginning, music wasn't just something she liked, it was something she lived. Her parents, Anne-Marie and Paul Hadwin, knew there was something different about their daughter. She didn't just listen to music, she absorbed it, studied it, and responded to it with a depth far beyond her years. The Hadwin home often echoed with sound. Her siblings, Melissa and Paul Jr., also shared musical interests, and together, they created an environment where harmonies and shared performances became part of family tradition. Later, the family moved to the peaceful village of Heselden, a place known more for its scenic hills than showbiz ambitions. But for Courtney, it was the perfect setting to nurture a dream. She attended Heselden Primary School, where teachers quickly noticed that her talents extended far beyond the classroom. Her focus was clear. Music wasn't just a passion, it was her purpose. And yet, what came next wasn't the result of talent alone. It was the product of intense discipline, focused training, and a relentless drive to be heard. Courtney Hadwin's path to the spotlight didn't begin on international television. It began in the corners of local stages and small competitions, where raw talent met early nerves. In 2015, at just 11 years old, she stepped onto the Teen Star competition stage in Newcastle. With a trembling voice, she performed Bob Dylan's "Make You Feel My Love." She didn't win that day, but something far more valuable happened. She left an impression. Judges and onlookers recognized the spark. It wasn't just about hitting notes, it was about the emotion behind them. That experience gave her something to build on: confidence. And in 2017, the young girl from County Durham took another major leap. This time onto national television as a contestant on The Voice Kids UK. The show was a whirlwind, but Courtney rose to the moment. Her performance of Tina Turner's Nutbush City Limits. It started with a nervous glance, a quiet voice, and an awkward shuffle across the America's Got Talent stage. To most viewers, she looked like just another timid teenager auditioning for a dream. But seconds later, Courtney Hadwin exploded into a musical force that shook the internet and stunned millions around the world. Her electrifying voice, reminiscent of the greats like Janis Joplin and James Brown, erupted from her small frame with such raw energy that judges were left speechless and audiences instantly captivated. But the story didn't end with applause. Behind the viral clips and standing ovations, behind the headlines and contracts, was a deeper journey, one marked by immense pressure, harsh criticism, and the quiet strength of a young girl navigating sudden fame. While Courtney's rise felt like a fairy tale on the surface, the reality was far more complicated and far more human. Today, we trace the astonishing story of how a soft-spoken girl from a quiet English town became one of the most unforgettable talents ever seen on AGT. A story of courage, setbacks, reinvention, and the emotional cost of becoming famous before you even finish school. Long before the flashing lights and roaring applause, Courtney Hadwin's story began in the calm, unassuming town of Hartlepool in County Durham, England. Born on July 6, 2004, Courtney's early life was far from the chaos of show business. Her world was filled instead with winding village roads, quiet afternoons, and the comforting rhythm of everyday life in a close-knit community. From the very beginning, music wasn't just something she liked, it was something she lived. Her parents, Anne-Marie and Paul Hadwin, knew there was something different about their daughter. She didn't just listen to music, she absorbed it, studied it, and responded to it with a depth far beyond her years. The Hadwin home often echoed with sound. Her siblings, Melissa and Paul Jr. Courtney Hadwin didn't just make a splash on America's Got Talent. She set off a tidal wave. After her viral audition, the pressure mounted. All eyes were on her. Could she do it again? Could she keep delivering performances that shocked and thrilled? The answer came swiftly. Yes, and then some. In the quarterfinals, she tackled James Brown's Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. It wasn't just a performance, it was a spectacle. With unrelenting energy, she owned the stage, blending powerful vocals with an unpredictable, magnetic presence. She wasn't mimicking legends, she was becoming one. The crowd couldn't stay in their seats. Even Simon Cowell looked stunned. He pushed her straight through to the semifinals. Then came her rendition of Born to be Wild by Steppenwolf. The title couldn't have been more fitting. Courtney unleashed a rebellious, rock-driven roar that declared, she wasn't just a teenage singer. She was a full-blown performer, unfiltered, fearless. In the finals, she took on Tina Turner's River Deep, Mountain High. It was a make-or-break moment, and Courtney delivered. The emotional intensity, the vocal strength, the physical expression, it was all there. She didn't just sing the song, she told a story. One of passion, power, and individuality. While she didn't win the competition, it hardly mattered. Courtney left AGT as a breakout star, with a global fan base and a reputation as one of the most unforgettable acts the show had ever seen. As Courtney Hadwin's popularity soared, so did the scrutiny. While millions embraced her as the shy girl with the voice of a rock legend, others weren't convinced. A wave of online critics began to dissect her story, questioning whether her timid stage persona was genuine or just clever showbiz packaging. The center of the controversy? Her prior appearance on The Voice Kids UK. Footage surfaced of Courtney performing confidently on stage years before AGT, leading some to claim that her nervous girl image was an act, crafted for sympathy and shock value. The speculation spread fast. Forums lit up, comment sections exploded, and whispers of manipulation began swirling across social media. Was this a case of clever marketing? Or were people simply unwilling to accept that someone could be both shy and electric at the same time? Those closest to Courtney didn't stay silent. Her family and teachers pushed back against the narrative, describing her as a soft-spoken, introspective girl who simply came alive on stage. Stories emerged of her singing in her sleep, of her quiet nature in school, and of the deep anxiety she felt before performances. They argued what many performers already knew. Shyness offstage doesn't cancel out brilliance on stage. The backlash didn't define Courtney, but it did highlight a painful truth of modern fame. When young stars rise fast, the world doesn't just celebrate them, it tries to pull them apart. Courtney Hadwin's time on America's Got Talent may have ended without a trophy, but her career was just getting started. Almost immediately after the season wrapped, she was invited to perform in Las Vegas, one of the most iconic entertainment stages in the world. There, she shared the spotlight with magician and AGT winner Shin Lim, performing 5 live shows at the prestigious Paris Hotel and Casino. It was more than just an encore, it was a statement. Courtney had graduated from contestant to headliner. Her performances in Vegas proved she could thrive in front of diverse, international audiences, even outside the structure of a talent show. Then, in 2019, Courtney returned to the AGT stage, this time as part of America's Got Talent, The Champions. But she didn't just come back to perform another cover. Instead, she stunned viewers with something new, her first original song, Pretty Little Thing. It was a bold move, revealing her evolution from singer to songwriter. The performance marked a creative turning point and gave fans a glimpse into the kind of artist she was becoming. Courtney didn't win that competition either, but the impact of her return was undeniable. She had solidified her place in the AGT legacy and reminded the world that her story was only beginning to unfold. Beneath the viral headlines and standing ovations, Courtney Hadwin was still just a teenager, trying to make sense of a world that had changed almost overnight. While her fame skyrocketed, so did the emotional pressure, and the weight of that transformation didn't go unnoticed. Suddenly, every move she made was public. Every performance was dissected. Every photo, every post, every expression became fair game for criticism. And like many young stars, Courtney found herself caught in a whirlwind of expectation, praised one moment, picked apart the next. In interviews, she shared glimpses of the emotional toll fame had taken. She spoke candidly about the kindness of fans who sent her encouraging messages, reminding her of why she started. But behind those messages was a storm of online judgment, whispers of doubt, and the anxiety of trying to live up to the hype. Her family became her anchor. Her mother often worried aloud about how the spotlight might affect her daughter's mental health. Her father offered grounding advice, reminding her that even global icons like Ed Sheeran had taken breaks from the internet to protect their peace. But it wasn't just about staying sane, it was about staying real. Courtney didn't want to be a manufactured pop act. She wanted to be herself, and that meant navigating criticism, facing bullying, and continuing to create despite the noise. When she signed a record deal with Simon Cowell's Psycho Entertainment and Arista Records, it was a dream come true. But even that came with its own challenges, pressure to deliver, to fit a mold, to be what the industry expected. Still, Courtney kept going, not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove to herself that she belonged. In the fast-paced world of music, signing with a major label is often seen as the ultimate milestone. But for Courtney Hadwin, it was only the beginning of a deeper journey, one that would eventually lead her down a different path: independence. After the closure of Simon Cowell's Psycho Music, the label that initially signed her, Courtney found herself at a crossroads. Many artists in her position might have scrambled for another major deal, but Courtney took a bolder route. She chose to take control of her music and her future. In 2023, fans noticed a change. On YouTube, she casually confirmed what many had speculated. She was no longer under a label. She was now a fully independent artist. For the first time in her career, every decision, from the lyrics to the sound to the release strategy, would be hers alone. Then came the music. On February 24th, 2023, she released Breakable, her first independent single, co-produced with Kevin Bowe. The song wasn't just a musical statement, it was personal. Vulnerable, honest, and emotionally rich, Breakable marked a new chapter in her artistry. No filters, no pressure to fit a mold, just Courtney. The response was immediate and overwhelmingly positive. Fans resonated with the rawness, praising her maturity and growth as a songwriter. With no label backing and no marketing machine, Courtney proved she could still make waves.